146, and welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Wednesday, July 28th. I am your host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories right here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com, and here are the news stories for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. Alaska's highest court has given a green light last Friday to the Alaska Railroad to spray weed killers along a section of track belonging to what is believed to be the last herbicide-free railroad in the nation. The Supreme Court issued an order denying a review requested by environmental groups in a native village. Plaintiff's lawyers Austin Williams said the decision means that the spraying can begin immediately. The railroad said it had tried other methods to keep weeds down, including torching and steaming the weeds, but weed killers are needed to keep vegetation from forcing apart tracks and concealing problems with fasteners. The railroad is facing fines for allowing too much vegetation to grow on the tracks. The Department of Environmental Conservation issued a permit this year allowing the railroad to spray glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup and Agridex. The permit allows the spraying along the railroad's right-of-way for a 2-year period. The permit does not require that the public be notified when spraying occurs. The Alaska Community on Toxins, Alaska Center for the Environment, Alaska Survival, Cook Inlet Keeper, and the native village of Iqlutuna filed a lawsuit. They contend that the chemicals will foul drinking water and harm salmon streams. The Government Accountability Office has released their report called Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act. After almost 20 years, key federal agencies still have not fully complied with the act. That's the title of the report. The web link to the report can be found at gao.gov, and we'll put that URL up there for you to be able to find that site if you'd like to download that report. The Madeline Island Museum at La Pointe, Wisconsin will host birch bark artists Sandy and Dave Peterson of Lac de Flambeau, Wisconsin for a weekend artist in residency on July 31st and August 1. The Petersons are masters of birch bark basket making, including mukkuks, which are boxes, rice fanning baskets, and storage containers using traditional materials like weegoop, which is basswood fiber, to construct their baskets. They also decorate their baskets with finely detailed etchings and incised with the dark winter bark. During their weekend residency, the Petersons will demonstrate both the basket making and the etching processes. This summer's Artist in Residence program coincides with the Madeline Island Museum's new exhibit, Art Traditions of the Anishinaabe. The exhibit is made up of contemporary Ojibwe art alongside historic works from the museum's collections. Anthropology students from the University of Alabama are digging around a mound built by Native Americans about 1,500 years ago. The 6-foot-high mound is tucked away in a wooded lot in a South Gautier neighborhood near the Mississippi Sound. A Mississippi Department of Archives and History historical marker identifies the site as the Graveline Bayou Indian Mound. Lorraine Downs, a doctoral student directing the dig, which has been underway since May, said the site was first documented in 1905, but has been relatively unexamined except for looters who have pockmarked the mound. The site is next to Gautier Councilman Johnny Jones's house. Jones said several Gautier residents were instrumental in saving the site that is owned by the Archaeological Conservancy. Carrying woven baskets filled with dirt, the mound was constructed over a period of about 200 years. If just one more shovel of earth had been removed, the curious figurine of a kneeling woman carved about 900 years ago might have ended up in a 19th century curio shop or lost forever. Instead, archaeology graduate student Steve Bolas found the rare 6-inch high artifact this spring at a massive archaeological dig now underway at the Old National Stockyards in and around the East St. Louis, Illinois area to make way for construction of a new $670 million Mississippi River Bridge. The figurine and the whole excavation have caused a great deal of excitement. Site manager and archaeologist Jeff Kruchten said that since last fall, 137 dwelling sites have been dug up or are being excavated. Another 500 to 650 are thought to exist, pushing the estimate of the city's peak population to at least 4,000. Because the site must be fully excavated or be forever lost to construction, the usual practice of digging up only a part of the site to save it for future archaeologists, the strict practice at nearby Courte Mounds, where only 1% of the site has been excavated, has been dropped. Pretty much the whole stockyard site will be dug. Bolus's excavation showed that the figurine had a close call just before the turn of the century when a manure drain pipe being installed at the stockyards was placed just an inch away from where the treasure was found, just 3 feet below the surface. Workmen had somehow missed it. A Southern Arizona tribe has overcome a key hurdle in its bid to build a Las Vegas-style hotel and casino in suburban Phoenix, Arizona, but it still needs permission to allow gambling on the site. The U.S. Department of Interior announced last week it would take into trust 54 acres of unincorporated land near Glendale, a move that makes the land part of the Tohono O'odham tribe's reservation. The project has sparked controversy because the tribe seeks to build the casino in the Phoenix metro area about 40 miles from its nearest existing reservation land base. The city of Glendale opposes the project, saying the casino is being imposed without input. The city had argued that the land cannot be added to the tribe's reservation because it is surrounded by Glendale on 3 sides, and that therefore makes it within the city's planning zone. In a letter to tribal officials, Assistant Secretary for the Interior Affairs Larry Echohawk wrote that Arizona law does not support a finding that the land is part of Glendale and therefore ineligible to be considered a reservation. And Vermont's Commission on Native American Affairs is seeking 9 new members. A new state law that sets up a process for state recognition of Native American tribes also has revised the makeup of the commission and expanded it from 7 to 9 members. Governor Jim Douglas's office says he'll be appointing 9 new members to the commission by September 1st, provided that a sufficient number of qualified candidates have submitted applications to the governor. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country. On this edition of the Native News Update, we want to say miigwech for showing up here. Stop by again soon.